All right. All right. Well, what's up, everybody? All that are tuning in. My name is Ryan Thomas, and I'm one of the organizers of Creative, and I have the privilege of partnering with some Baylor students and these amazing people to my left. Tru Jamaica, go ahead and introduce yourself a little bit.
My name is Vivian Charles, the part owner of Tru Jamaica.
And my name is Aniceto Charles, and this is my lovely mother, and I'm also part owner of Tru Jamaica as well.
Awesome. So, if you don't know what this is, which you probably do, this is just an interview to get to know the people behind the product of Tru Jamaica. So I'm just going to ask them a couple questions, and we'll get to know them. Hopefully, you gain something from this for your personal life. Cool. So you already introduced yourself a little bit, but I would love to hear from either of your perspectives why Tru Jamaica? So what was the story behind starting this restaurant and the idea?
Okay, I'll go first. Okay, we once had a Jamaican restaurant in Northern Virginia. We sold it, and we were kind of looking. We saw Northern Virginia grow like immensely, so we started kind of looking around. And actually, it was divine guidance that led us to Waco, and then the hope that we could open a restaurant here like we did in Woodbridge. So we were like, it would be great because we'd be the only one bringing something new and different. So that just, yeah, put us on this path.
So for me, it's always I always take the breadcrumbs that the Lord's put in front of me, and in my life, I've come to meet so many different people, and they've all shown me a little bit of love, and a lot of those people that I've met, they've been from Waco. Then more importantly, my father and mother. My father loved my mother, and he's a great cook in his own right, but he loved Jamaican food. It was like, oh, teach me how to do that. Teach me how to do that. So he learned how to cook from my grandmother and my mother, and then you can see the joy that he had when he ate the food and when he cooked the food, and then more importantly, when other people ate his food. So it's kind of like, for me, when I see a happy plate, that's my joy. So
Our empty plate is a happy plate.
happy plate, hey.
An empty plate is a happy plate.
Oh yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, cool. So a lot of you know usually people in the culinary arts are more aware than people outside of, that may just be eating food, that it's an art, and it is something that has a creative twist to it, and that it has some kind of force. There's a, creative pulse behind creating it. And I would love to hear from your perspective what role creativity plays in, whether how you run your restaurant, cook your food, even, manage operations, whatever.
Well, for me, the food, it's funny. We all have the experience of our grandparents or grandmothers cooking and our mothers cooking. So that really resonated with me because all my life I've had really good food to eat. And then my husband cooked a lot in our home. So it's like, and you really start to understand and feel like, wow, food, it's a big thing.
Mm-hmm.
You're happy around food. You remember what you ate certain times. So the passion grew in me little by little, It really
So you said the
did.
passion grew.
Yeah, the passion for food. But it's really just from being served and being cooked for by so many loving people that I think that grew. Because, yeah, just good food is good food. Yeah, yeah.
So I guess everybody has their own perspective. For me, it's more of, whenever I gather with my family and we're eating, it seems that there's so much, I don't know, so much spirit, so much joy. We pray, then we talk, we catch up, and in that bonding, I love to share with other people because when I see people eat our food, they relax. So it's not a rush, right? So they eat, they commune, and more importantly, I just it just reminds me of how my family is, and I'm getting to share a piece of what we do through our food with them.
Yeah.
So that's really where you know everything comes from for
Got it.
me.
So in a sense, like what you're creating is, not only just a happy plate or an empty plate, but you're creating that bond. You're like creating that feeling of a bond around, you guys eating food with your family for people who come in that aren't your family.
Yeah,
So
Yeah,
really, it's like you're reproducing family through your food.
yeah,
That's
that's
kind
really
of.
dope.
Yeah, and being from Jamaica, you start to realize very quickly once you're here in the States that so many things from our island is different and specific to Jamaica. And as I grew up, I really started to kind of hone in more and appreciate those little differences because that's what makes our food just a little bit different. And that's why it's intriguing to so many to try it because, yeah, there are things that are so specific. So I've learned to grow to really love those things and want to bring those things and say, hey, this is what our little island offers.
Got it.
Yeah.
So what are some of those, things, as far as actually cooking your food that make it different? I mean, we don't have to give anyone your secret
No,
sauce.
no.
But what if I'm eating? What's the difference between me eating like fried chicken at Chick-fil-A and chicken at Tru Jamaica? Some people don't know.
So I'll start with that one. My mother will probably put it in a better frame of mind, but it all starts with love. But the thing is, there's a passion behind cooking. So it's like when I think of Jamaican food, I feel great because the food that we're serving is the food that we actually eat at home. So it's like I don't eat Chick-fil-A at home. Nothing against Chick-fil-A, but when I serve a plate of oxtail or jerk chicken, the same way that this is in season and have been loved on, it's the same way that I get the food at home when I cook or my mother cooks. So it's something. But when I think of Jamaican food, I think of lots of flavor, layers of flavor. A lot of people have a misconception that it's just spicy food. No, it's well flavored food, it's seasoned, lots of love, and it's something that you'll remember once you've had it. You'll definitely remember, resonate in your palate for sure. So that's what I think that people should come away with.
Some of those specifics are like the Scotch bonnet. And most people might have heard of the habanero and compare it, but it is so different. Pimento, which grows readily in like the country parts of Jamaica, it brings so much flavor. So there's so many little things that I think we've grown, and as my son has grown and we appreciate that those things make just a little bit of difference. Yeah. I mean, jerk seasoning without pimento or Scotch bonnet would not be jerk seasoning.
Yeah.
You know?
Big deal.
Yeah.
Man, that stuff. I've had it once. And it makes a big difference. Cool. Well, what would you say? You've already mentioned, family a little bit and some of the things that kind of move you to create your food. What would you say is your biggest inspiration, or who, if it's a who, is your biggest inspiration as far as taking your idea to reality and the perseverance that it takes to do that? Creating the food is one thing, but then there's, going through all the hoops of of starting a restaurant that may be different.
My mother and father, they've always had an entrepreneurial spirit. They had a restaurant before. They had a clothing store in Houston. And my mother, she had a hair salon for 34 years. And, just recently, we actually, we were just thinking about it the other day, and I was like, Mom, you had a hair salon for a long time. And, she's done so many different hairdos and everything, but the thing about it is that people open businesses every day, right? But I think that when you open a business, you have to have a passion for it. You have to love it, because it's not, everybody wants to make money. Yeah, you have to take care of your family and everything. But if you don't kind of have a passion for what you're doing in business, sometimes it doesn't succeed, because, you're going to go through the pitfalls and you go up and down. But if you have a passion, you're going to succeed in it, and you're going to keep going, and you're going to will it to succeed.
Yeah.
So I kind of think that my parents, they've instilled that in me and my sister. And I think we have a lot of passion for what we do.
Yeah.
And if you come in and you eat with us, you'll get a conversation, because I like to talk, but you'll get a conversation about the food, and you'll see that, not only do I love to eat, I love to tell people about the food. So, yeah.
Yeah, the passion for me, yes, definitely. I just want to add to what Anastasia said, because my faith has played an immense role in my life. From praying that I didn't have to go into the 3rd grade, which I would look into every day with that teacher spanking the kids because they didn't answer correctly. From me praying, please Lord, don't let me go into that lady's class. And then actually coming to the United States and not having to go to that class, my faith just continued to grow as I saw then the possibilities of America, which is what my dad saw. My husband, loving food and cooking, he really opened the door for us to have that first restaurant, even though he didn't work in it. And because we saw Northern Virginia grow, I mean, immensely. When we were introduced to Waco through Chip and Joanna, and through just, always reading my word every day, just something said in my spirit to take this to my husband and say, Waco is where we should go.
Yeah.
And with Anastasia being so talented in so many areas, being a great manager, and then saying, I think, I'll do research, but I think that sounds good.
Mm-hmm.
We were like, we're onto something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, when it's it's almost like everything aligns internally, and then externally you start seeing like confirmation of,
yes, definitely.
of where you think,
definitely
you're being led. It's cool. So as you do that, there's being a business owner, I quickly found out that there are hurdles that you have to jump through that you just, some things you can be prepared for, some things you just didn't see coming.
Curveballs.
And we'd love to hear like what's one of those things for you guys. What's a hurdle that, and it could be one or two, but a hurdle that you didn't see coming that you guys had to jump over starting.
Oh, for me? Okay. So we've been open since January 1, and when we started off, the community welcomed us with open arms, and we're very thankful for that. Even with this COVID situation, nobody could foresee COVID or anything like that. The community's still supporting. Even if people aren't ordering food, they still call. Hey, how you guys doing? You guys doing anything? You guys need anything? Any prayers? We get all these different calls, and not just from our church members, we get it from a lot of other community members and everything like that. Pitfalls, I mean, I would say, everybody in the community in Waco knows about a fixer-upper. So behind us is our fixer-upper. In the matter of speaking, we've had to fix pretty much every square foot of this building. We had to do things that I didn't know how to do,
Yeah.
that we didn't know how to do probably. So I did do a lot of heavy lifting, and then I have to acknowledge that Pastor Henry Harris, he helped guide the ship once he saw it like, hey, you know a little bit, but let me help you there. But
awesome.
the truth of the matter is, you know, it's like you go into a room blindly, there's no light and you can't see anything. So we went into this and we knew, oh, it's a building. It has doors, it has the roof, but we had to do everything. We had to change the windows, change the doors. They almost made us build parking. There's so many things, and it's like you don't see these things. And I think that the Lord keeps blessing us because every time a challenge happens, we're able to overcome.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm extremely thankful. But yeah, fixer upper in the matter of to the 10th level. So it's not what you see on TV.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's not what you see.
Yeah. So definitely.
Awesome. Well, cool. As we wrap up, what would you say to encourage any starters that may be watching this? Any people who, whether it's they're picking up a camera for the first time or they're picking up a spatula for the first time, what would you say to those people?
I think it's something's got to be kind of burning inside you. You've got to feel something for what your brain is saying, I can try this, but your heart has got to be saying, I can really do this.
Mm-hmm.
Because then every day you will.
Mm-hmm.
You will yourself through the next challenge, the next thing. You'll be pushed by your actually, yeah. So I think you've got to have that. You can't just, things might look good on paper, but if you don't have that passion, like Anastasia said, yeah, because coming in here in Texas heat every day, no air conditioning.
Oh yeah, we had one of those.
Was it in the summer?
Yeah.
Our air conditioning, let's just put it like this: air conditioning broke, and then on top of that, some things that we got fixed, but in that span of time, it was hard to get contractors. And then we, Lord bless us, and we found a contractor that we didn't have to wait ages for, but then we got it fixed. So, in that span of time, I think we hit 100 probably 10 times. So, yes, and in the kitchen where you have 14 burners, 2 ovens, a warmer box, a warmer, fridge, freezer, all these things, all this mechanical work working at the same time, it does elevate the heat in addition. So yeah, and then you have 4 or 5 bodies depending on the day. So yes, it was a test. The Lord tested us.
And you got through it.
Yeah, but for me, I think the truth of the matter is, you have to plan. And even I think the mindset of doing a plan, people don't really take hold of it. Like, set a goal, say, oh, I'm going to do this in 3 months, do it. And then when you achieve it, it's like, okay, I can knock that off. But I think the more planning that you do, it kind of sets you up to be more prepared. Now, don't get me wrong, there's a lot of curveballs, there's a lot of things that you won't foresee happening, but at least you have a plan to say, okay, I have to do this, I have to do that. And I think that planning is instrumental in having a business. So that's the only thing I would say.
Man.